Hello and welcome back to This Week in One Piece, except this week it's actually this fortnight in One Piece, because I skipped last week due to lack of news, honestly. There wasn't a lot going on, so I thought we'll just do 2 weeks in one, not going to waste your time. So this week was quite exciting. We have now had all of the leaders for OP11 revealed, all 6. We had a few really big tournaments, one in Oceania and one over in the East. And we've also had some strange price rises, to say the least. So starting off, this is the new leader that I covered yesterday. I've released a dedicated video on Nami, so if you want to hear more of my thoughts on the Nami, definitely check that one out. It's only a short video, 6-7 minutes. But what Nami does, she is a blue-yellow 5000 power full life leader, Straw Hat Crew, nothing funky. During your turn, once per turn, when a life leaves a life pile, you can activate this effect. If you have 7 or less cards in your hand, draw a card. Really good for your tempo. You're going to have so many resources with this deck. It's going to be pretty crazy. She also has Don X1 when your opponent attacks once per turn. You may trash 1 card from your hand. Give this leader 2000 power for the turn. Not the battle, the turn. That's crazy. The red Ezo from EBO1 has this kind of effect, but only for the battle. And this is for the turn, which is significantly better, of course. You also gain access to the exclusive card Nojiko, which was previously locked to only the mono blue Nami. But now, since this Nami's blue as well, you can use her to bounce a 5 for just 2 Don. Pretty crazy. And I think bouncing the Nojiko with something like a Jozu is going to be the best way to build this, at least with the cards that we have now. Obviously, there are going to be many blue Straw Hat cards in OP11, and those could very well synergize with Nami even better, but we simply don't know. And it's always fun to theorize. I do have some people ask me, why do we talk about these decks before we have all the cards? I don't know, I just find it fun. Another good card is the Nico Robin. Cards like this, cards like Kid, 7 cost Mum, 6 cost Mum, that trash life are just going to be great to activate your effects, as well as those smaller cards like the 2 cost Zeus. So I do actually have a list of Nami that I've put together. It was heavily adapted from the Yokusu channel's video on the Nami leader that they put out yesterday. Really cool gameplay. I'll probably have that linked in the description if you want to see some very early gameplay of Nami. But I took their list, changed it a little bit, and this is sort of what I got. The Slave Arrow is a pretty cool card that I hadn't thought of yesterday, that I saw them play in their deck, and I was very impressed. Letting you pick up one of your 2 costs is great, because we love using cards like Hiyori and Zeus, and even Nojiko, to just get their effect, but then once they're on the board, they're pretty bad bodies. Obviously, we can pick them up with Jozu, but the Slave Arrow just gives us another way to get extra value out of those cards. Beyond that, I think Red Rock is a no-brainer for those decks, like something like a Shanks or an Enel. It's going to go super tall with big cards like 10 cost Shanks, 10 cost Enel, or 10 cost Ace. I think the 7 Mum is a nice mid-ground play. She's got a decently sized body, and even if your opponent chooses to give you the heal, well, that's fine, because we're a 4 life leader, and an extra life is never bad. I think these blockers are going to be pretty impactful as well, just to give you that little bit of defense in the end game, when your opponent's maybe got a couple of characters that you haven't been able to deal with. Next up, we had Kobe. He is the leader for today. Red-black, 5000, 4 life, nothing funky, navy and sword types, and he has the text, your sword characters may attack characters on the turn they're played. No idea what this is going to do. We don't have any sword characters, not even worth theorizing about. Once per turn, if your navy character with original power 7000 or less would be removed from the field by an opponent's effect, you may instead put 3 cards from the trash on the bottom of your deck in any order. I think this effect's quite nice. It's kind of similar to the red-black Sabo, which I guess makes sense, they're the same colours. But it being able to protect your characters like Kuzan and Sengoku here from removal is going to be pretty powerful. I do wonder what exactly we're doing with this leader. It doesn't seem to have great synergy with the cards we have already. Protecting them's wonderful, but black has always been a very removal focused build, and this first effect and the existing black navy cards, I don't know, I'm not seeing the vision quite yet, but this definitely has the potential. If these sword characters are good, especially, I think there's a good chance for Kobe to be an underrated leader. But certainly at the minute, I tried to put a list together. I'll be honest, I think it's pointless. I couldn't really get one that I was happy with. At the moment, he doesn't really have anything going for him over Smoker or Garp. And the last new leader that we haven't covered yet is Mono Purple Katakuri. Big Mom Pirates, 5000 power, 5 life. When attacking and when your opponent attacks once per turn, you can do Don -1, look at the top card of your opponent's deck, and give this leader 1000 power for the battle. So I think this leader is being a little overlooked. I've seen a lot of people very negative on this leader, and I can understand why. His effect is not the flashiest, right? But I think this could be in a similar boat to something like Shanks, where on release, people, myself included, were not very high on Shanks because his ability felt very fine, very fair. But once the cards got revealed, it became quite apparent that Shanks was going to be very powerful, and he has indeed turned out to be very powerful. Maybe not the best deck in the game, but a contender. I think the amount of knowledge you're going to gain from this leader effect can't be understated. Knowing exactly what your opponent's going to do, which is very on brand for Katakuri, might I add, is, I think, something we've not really had in this game yet. Pudding can kind of just ruin your opponent's plan, and there is a Black Morgans card that lets you look at your opponent's hand, but that card's bad, it's never sim play. And I've come from games like Pokemon, where hand lock plus control what's on the top of your deck is ban-worthy multiple different times. So, whilst this definitely isn't going to be as powerful as something like that in Pokemon, I think this has the potential to be very powerful in the hands of a skilled pilot. The big issue is you are going to Don minus a lot of Don, and we're going to need ways to bring that back. And the most obvious way is Pudding. She's in Archetype. We're probably going to get a purple Big Mom Searcher. We also have the event, which is fine. And that event can also search for Black Maria, which I think is going to be one of the best 2Ks in this deck. Just playing it out to gain those Dons back that you've abused with your leader effect seems strong. And of course, 5-cost Kid is the same job as 3-cost Pudding. They do the same thing. He's got a better body, but she is searchable, probably, and you can play her out a little earlier. I think all three of these cards are going to be staple in Katakuri. Beyond that, we really are waiting on what comes out, because the purple Big Mum stuff, honestly, is pretty horrendous. The stuff that they printed for Pudding. The 6-cost Katakuri is leader locked in all but name. Its effect is basically useless outside of Pudding. And the other cards, got all the egg guys, they suck. So we're really just waiting on the OP11 support for this guy. But I do think he has a lot more promise than people are giving him credit for. This knowledge is very good. It's very good. Just a quick reminder of what the other leaders do. Jinbei is a fishman at the end, and a straw hat that at the end of your turn, if 6 or less in your hand, you can resound a fishman or a merfolk and a don. These are the best targets that we have currently. I think this is actually potentially going to be one of the best leaders. Could be wrong, could easily be wrong. Again, it's not the flashiest, but just being able to stand up your characters to protect them is very good. I've seen that now in decks like Lim, now that Lim is playable. I've seen how powerful that can be. And having a free Don for an event, that's pretty cool too. I do hope we get a better event though than Trichilia Cosm. Blue Purple Luffy, we knew how good this was going to be when it got revealed. When you're going into your 10 Don turn, you get to look at the top 5, grab a Straw Hat card, and then stack the rest. Really good effect. It gets you an extra draw, lets you hit your Sanji reliably, can use Gum Gum Giant. This leader's going to be good. How good will, I think, depend on what the blue Straw Hat support is, but even with current card pool, he looks intimidating. Shirahoshi, I think, is going to be the next Vegapunk or Lim of the set. And what I mean by that is that I think this is going to be one of those leaders where Bandai thinks the leader effect is very powerful. And don't get me wrong, it very well could be. But I think they're going to undercook it. Like they did with Vegapunk, like they did with Lim. I think the initial support is going to be very mediocre. And then they're going to spend about 1 to 2 sets bringing out more support for Shirahoshi. And at the end of that, it might be good, it might still be trash. That's hard to say. But I just get the feeling this is going to be the next Vegapunk or Lim on release. In terms of other cards we've had revealed this last couple of weeks, we had this Judge. He's a 6/8 with all the Germa types. Activate main once per turn, you may trash a card. All of your characters with the Germa 66 type gain 1000 power during the turn. Minor Reiju support I don't know. I don't know if you're going to play this. You're certainly not going to play too many of this because it's a brick and you can't summon it back from the trash. I think the 8-cost Judge is broadly better because your opponent's probably going to be trying to remove as much of your stuff as they can anyway. He could be alright, but I'm not super sold on this. At least changing Reiju's place in the meta. We do get this Beige Searcher. He's pretty cool. Blue, Beige, 1-2, Fire Tank, and Supernova. On play, look at the top 4 from your deck. Reveal a Fire Tank or Straw Hat Crew card with a cost of 2 or more and add it to your hand. Similar to the lore from OP09, the purple lore. I think the only deck I'm seeing is in the minute potentially is going to be that blue-yellow Nami. Unless we get some crazy Fire Tank support specifically. But, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's next to no named Fire Tank pirates in the show. Except for, of course, Beige. But regardless, in blue-yellow Nami, you can search out the Trigger 2k Beige, which is kind of nice. And you can search the Straw Hat Crew stuff. We don't have another yellow or blue Straw Hat Crew searcher. So if the blue Straw Hat Crew stuff is good in Nami, then you're likely going to play the Beige. We've also got this Charlotte Oven. He is a 4-5, Big Bum Pirates, 1k counter. Activate main, you can rest this character. Declare a cost of your choice. Reveal the top card of your opponent's deck. The revealed card has the same cost as the declared cost. KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less. Then add 1 Don from your Don deck and rest it. I have some questions. What were you smoking? I mean, this is obviously intended for the Katakuri leader, because he lets you check the top of the deck, so this is guaranteed. My problems with this are sort of many. First, you have to rest it. So you play your 4-5 to really convolutedly ramp a Don. Your opponent gets the info on what's on top of their deck, which isn't major at this point in the game, but, you know, it's a slight downside. And then you have to rest him, so your opponent can attack him immediately. I don't know, ramping back is cool after using your Katakuri effect, but I'm sort of wondering why we don't just play Bonclay or even Ein. At that point, get the Don, and then you don't have to rest the character, so the character can attack next turn and doesn't just die. Original cost of 3 as well is really bad. I understand the mentality, you play this on 4, the biggest thing your opponent's got is 3. But realistically, there's not that many good 3-cost characters at the minute. So I'm really not sure what this is hitting. Like a Brook, maybe? A 3-cost Brook? But yeah, I mean, outside of very niche scenarios, I don't think this is going to be good in the Katakuri deck. I'd rather just play Bonclay, honestly. And then that one comes in active, so you can attack for 7 with your leader. It just seems better. We lastly got this Shirahoshi. This is a promo. No idea when we'll get this. I wish we had a cohesive release schedule for these promos at least. If they were all regional promos, it would not be great, but it would make sense. Either way, she's a 4-0 1k Fishman Island and Merfolk types. No, that's Fishman Island, not Fishman or New Fishman Pirates. It's going to get quite confusing with the Fishmen, I fear. On play, you can play 1 cost 5 or lower Sea King or Fishman Island type character from your hand, so it lets you cheat a Don. And then activate main, you can rest this character up to 1 of your Sea King characters and attack characters on the turn that it's played. How do I rate this? We don't have the Sea Kings, we still don't have the Sea Kings, and we don't have any Fishman Island type characters either. Do remember in Jinbei you can restand Shirahoshi at the end of your turn, so she's not just vulnerable after you rest her to get the second effect. Card seems fine, without knowing what the Sea Kings and Fishmen Island characters do. Like I say, it's really hard to rate, but I could see this seeing play in Jinbei. In Shirahoshi, I don't think so, unless there's like super specific synergy to stand her back up. Next up, we have the results portion of the video. We had the Oceania finals over in Oceania, and it was taken down by Doflamingo, beating another Doflamingo in the finals. With some pretty spicy decks making it to Top Cut this time. This is the top 32 breakdown. Lots of Dofi, lots of BY, quite a bit of Lucci, Teach, couple purple Luffys, couple Boas, interestingly, 2 Namis, 1 L, 1 Betty, and only 1 Shanks. So I'd say Shanks potentially a little bit underperforming, but decks like Boa and Bello Betty making Top Cut is very exciting. I need to check out that Bello Betty list myself, I haven't seen it yet. I'm really excited to give that a go, because I do love a bit of Bello Betty. turn your brain off kind of fun. The Boa list is really cool. Really like the Boa. We've got a video on the Boa list already. That went up yesterday. If you want to see how that's playing out, give it a look. This is the winning Doflamingo list by Adachi Jasper. Make sure you follow him over on X. And this is his breakdown of the top 32. I didn't see a regular tournament breakdown. Maybe I missed it. But either way, he was able to beat a Nami, 2 Purple Luffys, a Boa, and a Dofi to win the entire tournament. Here's his list. Nothing too crazy. It's a fairly standard Doflamingo list. The Dofi list at this point. They're about 5 cards different, but it's just counts. Sometimes they choose to play the other Law 2K over the Mihawk 2K or the Croc. But they're mostly the same. But either way, well played to Adachi. Congratulations on his win. And this is the top 4 Boa. The second place Doflamingo list was basically the same as the first one. There was a few changes, of course. But this is the top 4 Boa list. This is the spicy deck of the tournament. I don't think anyone, if you'd asked them, would have said, yeah, Boa's going to make top 4. But hey, shout out to Noose. He called everyone's bluff and did really well with Boa. Eventually losing to a Dofi, which is one of the harder matchups at times. Although Boa definitely has game into the Dofi. Cards like this Borsalino, very good into Doflamingo. And of course cards like the 7 cost Doflamingo, very powerful too. And this is their list. Make sure you give them a follow on X over at Chopper OCE. And again, check out my Boa video if you want to see some gameplay. Next, we had the Asia Finals over in East Asia. So this is the event that after you win or top one of the events in your country, for example, Malaysia or Singapore, you're invited to the Asia Finals. And then all these top players battle it out for a chance at Worlds. Works a little differently to our events over in the West, but still very cool nonetheless. And look at this promo, this massive ace. I think this is sick. I'd love to see something like this in the West. I believe we have these. You get a lot of these in Pokemon. Certainly not serialized ones, but a lot of jumbo cards, and they're pretty cool. Nice collection pieces. Either way, this is Marco. Marco, lots of numbers. He was able to take down the tournament with Usopp. Make sure you follow him over on X. These are his matchups. He beat a Lucci, 2 BYs, lost to a Lucci and a Teach in Swiss. Able to make top cut with just a 3-2 record. And then was able to take down 3 Teachers in a row to win the tournament. So showing that Usopp has a pretty reasonable Teach matchup, at the very least, I would say. And I can sort of see why. This Luffy that attacks twice is very good. The Red Rock for dealing with their Teachers and their Burgesses is awesome. And of course, a lot of your stuff just has when attacking, things like the Cavendish and things like the Luffy can still get their effect even around Teach, which is really nice. We do have some gameplay of this Usopp list on the channel. You want to check that out to see how this deck plays. Will this be your main for the next set? Who's to say? And the second place was taken down, of course, by Teach. This is Chen Kai. Make sure you follow them over on X. And here are their pairings. Very interesting day one. Got a bye, beat a Teach and an Usopp, and then lost to a Teach and a Lim. 2-2 effectively. That's quite funny. And then in top cut, was able to take down 2 Doflamingos and Usopp. And it must be noted that all of these matches are not just against random Teach players. They're against the best of the best in Asia. So these are all tough opponents. Beating any of them is very impressive. And to go all the way to second place, very cool. He got the second one of these aces. I really like these aces. These are really cool. This is Kai's version of the Teach. Again, nothing too crazy really here. The new Kuzan as well as Liberation is making it into the list, which is pretty cool. No Laboon, so if your wallet's conscious, here's a sign that you can hold off on buying your Laboons. But either way, well played to Kai on his second place. Okay, next we have the Market Watch section. Not too many cards I want to talk about this week, but I do have a few. This is the first card that went to the moon. When they released that Katakuri leader, everyone immediately realized, yes, Pudding's going to be quite good now. So the alt-art version of Pudding kind of got bought out. It's now 25 bucks, up from 8, which is a joke. Don't buy at this price. It's silly. We don't know if Katakuri is going to be good. I think we know he's going to play this card, to be fair. But there's a rare version of this. This isn't an SR. This is just a rare. You can pick up the rare for pennies. And if you are considering picking up Katakuri, I would potentially think about picking up the rare if you can get it very cheap, especially if you can get it locally, because we've seen what some of these rares do. Rares like Sengoku and Raging Tiger that were okay and then just got very good very fast. They rapidly went up to $1, $2, $3, and I don't think this is going to do the same, but it could, you never know. The alt art though, definitely don't get that. Next, Nico Robin, $55 for this, no thank you. This was at 25, which honestly that's still pretty expensive. That's probably mostly just because it's Robin. But yeah, with the reveal of the Nami, people realise this is going to have a new home, especially as Straw Hat being searchable likely off that beige. So this one's gone up a lot. I think this price is silly again. Again, this is a rare. Pick up the rare version if you really want to play the deck. If you really want to get the cards now, I'd recommend the rare version. I would not recommend this alt, not for $45, it's crazy. One more that's gone up a lot is Flompe, both the regular and the alt. And honestly, I'm not convinced this is even going to be good in Nami. I'm really not. Why would I play this over Zeus? Why would you ever play this over Zeus? Zeus says take a life, kill a 5. This says take a life, draw a card. And there's always the chance that this actually gets you over 7 cards, and then you can't draw an extra card off the leader effect. Taking a life to just draw like 3 cards really doesn't feel worth, especially when Zeus is drawing you 2 and killing a 5. I think this is bait. This is obviously good in an L, but that's why the price was $5 for ages, because of an L, right? And BY. I'm not convinced this is going to be in Nami. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm very happy to be wrong. I'm wrong all the time. But I'm just not seeing it. I think it's way overhyped. And the same with this alt. This alt does look very good. It's one of the best alts out there, in my opinion. And it probably did justify this $30 price tag. What it definitely doesn't justify is a $71 price tag. You're just taking the piss with this. If you buy this at $71, I'm sorry, but just take a long, hard look at yourself. This is crazy. Crazy wasteful. Next up, we've got Hiyori. This hasn't been going up, which to me is a little surprising. Some of the alts have, but I think for $2, or even $3, some of these are. I think it's a very reasonable pickup. Obviously, this got reprinted in PRB, which is why the price is reasonably low. But I just don't see why this won't go up more in the future. This one is going to be good in Nami, and we don't seem to be getting in any more PRB. So if you haven't got your Hioris yet, which honestly you really should, if you haven't got them yet, I think now is a pretty good time to pick them up. Gecko Moria is another one who's been slowly creeping up. He was down like $3-4. There's not really been any reveals. Kobe hasn't really had a chance to impact the market as of the recording of this video. We also don't know if Moria is going to be good in Kobe. He probably will, but you never know. But regardless, this has been creeping back up really since the PRB wave hit. Now that there's no more of that being opened, he's back up to $6-7. I'd pick him up. Unless he gets banned, he's going nowhere. One suggestion I do have is to pick up the cards for Lim. Both Lim and Adio are very cheap, like 25 cents cheap. And that card got top 8 at the Asia Finals. That deck, sorry. I think picking these up just while you can get like a playset for $1 is an absolute no-brainer. You might not enjoy that deck, but I think it's very fun. And even if you don't enjoy the deck, you've still got it built, and it's cost you like $2-3. You don't want to be sitting there wanting to play Lim when it gets more buffs and these cards end up at like $3-4 a piece. One more card I'd consider picking up now is Roger. I think $5 for a secret rare is always good, and this is a good secret rare. You can probably only get 2. I don't think you'd ever want to play more than 2 of this in a deck. But I think having 2 copies of him is kind of a no-brainer. It's really good in all those red decks. It's tech in Shanks, good in Zoro, it's good in Sanji. It's even seen playing like some Bello Betty occasionally. But yeah, pretty much any aggressive red deck is going to consider Roger. So I think having 2 in your binder is a good shout. Next up, we've got the news and product section. First up, we have this new set of deck boxes. These are going to be sold at official retailers for $24 in March. These look pretty nice. You got this nice Straw Hat Jolly Roger design, and the straw hat on the rock with the 3 days crossed out. Pretty cool. Nice leatherette boxes. Nothing more to say. We also got a rules confirmation. We got a lot more than this, but this was the only one I think is remarkable. The Arlong from EBO2. We just have confirmation that the cannot be rested text means that the character can't attack, block, use and activate main like Jack, can't be rested by something like you can be my samurai. Anything that would affect that character, make it rest, cannot be done. So that's pretty cool. It works as we expected, but just nice to have confirmation. We also have, over in the east, a few new products. We've got these bulk boxes, the Yamato and Nami. They look fine. I'm never super hyped about these. They're not great. We do have some really nice sleeves though. I really like this crocodile sleeve with Mr. 1. This is probably my favourite of the bunch. The Rebecca one's nice too. This Lucci's just a card art. It's nothing too crazy. And I'm not a Big Mum fan. We also have these sleeves. One with the Straw Hat Crew and one with Teach. And we also got another set. Lots of sleeves this week. Very odd. With Kazuki, Hiyori, Shanks, Ace, and the Devil Fruits. My main problem with all these sleeves is they all look very good, but they just don't last. If you use them without oversleeves, then they just get detonated. And if you're using oversleeves, your deck just feels like a book. I don't know, I really like these sleeves, but I wish they were better quality. Come on, collab with Dragon Shield, please. That would be the best thing ever. Dragon Shield mats, with like some of these designs, man, it would go so hard. Either way, that's all the sleeves for today. So, thank you for watching This Week in One Piece. Was there anything I missed? Let me know in the comments. Which of these OP11 leaders do you think is going to be the most powerful? My money is so far on Nami, but it remains to be seen. I could easily see any of them taking the crown with the right support. And you best know, as we get more and more reveals out of OP11, we'll be covering all of them on the channel. So, make sure you're subscribed if you don't want to miss that. With that said, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.